Why Bitcoin?
Well, it's not entirely just because it is first, although that's part of it. But the real reason is this. The value proposition of Bitcoin is not fast transactions. It's not allowing you to buy your coffee with, saving an extra cent that goes from your credit card to the company that processes it. Nobody is buying Bitcoin because they want to save on transaction fees. And this is not what's driving the growth. This is not what's driving the demand for it. The value proposition of Bitcoin, in my opinion, and I think time has borne this out, is the fact that the monetary supply for it is hard, is unalterable, and nobody can change it. So we're only going to have 21 million Bitcoin, and nobody can change that. And the reason I think Bitcoin became valuable, the reason the value continues to grow, is precisely because it's demonstrated its inability to change. It's demonstrated that nobody controls it. And that's a huge thing, because if there was one person out there who could decide that who could change Bitcoin, then everything I'm saying is completely useless. If tomorrow somebody comes up and says, hypothetically speaking, I have a magic switch that, or they had some malware in the code that everybody is running, and now he can control Bitcoin, forget everything I said, throw my book away and never talk to me ever again. It's gone. That's pointless. The only reason it matters is because nobody can change it. Nobody can change the supply. Nobody can change the new Bitcoins that are being produced. And we know this because people in Bitcoin, and some of the most influential people in Bitcoin, have spent the last 7, 8 years going insane, trying to change some of the very small metrics of Bitcoin and completely failing at it. And this is what makes Bitcoin different. Bitcoin, in terms of the person who founded it, all of this perfect storm of somebody founding it, putting the software out there and then disappearing, and the software growing up on its own. I think a good example of it is to think of it as this, like a child that we threw in the jungle. Most likely, if you throw a 1-year-old in the jungle, he'll die. But if he survives, you're gonna have a massive monster. He's gonna be very powerful, and he's not gonna be able to stop. Now, you can't just bring another kid his age, who's now 20 years on, who's lived in a city, and then tell him, go spend a couple of weeks in the jungle and then go fight this guy. It doesn't work that way, right? And all these other coins are exactly like that. All these other coins, it's completely trivial for all the ones that I've ever heard of or researched. There's more than 1,000 of them, and I highly urge you to never waste any time on any of them. But for those of you who had the misfortune of wasting time on these coins, it's completely trivial to identify 2 or 3 people or 1 person for each one of those coins who could literally change whatever they want in that coin within a week. So for instance, Ethereum, there's an Ethereum Foundation. And it's completely trivial for them to change anything in Ethereum, as has been demonstrated over and over and over with all the hard forks that they've done. Ripple is just a centralized, stupid game, and there's a bunch of people running it with their own token. They can do whatever they want with it. They've printed the 100 billion, and they have 60 billion on the side that they can do whatever they want with. I could keep going on and on. Name any particular coin.
What about Bitcoin Cash?
Exactly, Bitcoin Cash, another excellent example. I mean, the people who started it were people who started it by changing the Bitcoin software. So they started from the perspective of saying, hey, this isn't something that is sacred, this isn't something that is immutable, we can change it. So if you can change it to make the block size larger, it'll be trivial to change it to make the money supply grow. But if the money supply can grow and change, then the entire value proposition of the thing is gone. And so, the onus of proof is not on Bitcoin to say why it is better than the others. The onus of proof is on all these other coins that are effectively nothing but scams to enrich the people who have made them, to illustrate to others why is it that they can claim to be immutable. You have a foundation and you have a guy who has spent millions, you're financed by bankers who have given you millions and press releases and all of those people. These coins didn't just come out of nowhere. People spent millions on making them happen. Why did they spend those millions? Not for charity, and not because they want a digital currency to be available, because if they wanted one, there's already Bitcoin out there. The only reason they made it is so that they could get rich off of it, and they continue to control it. Now, how can they demonstrably prove or illustrate or credibly show that they can't change the supply? That's the question that any other coin would need to answer before I can take it seriously. And the reality is none of them can do it. And the point is, if none of them can do it, if none of them can demonstrate it, then there's no point behind having this entire blockchain structure and all that expensive stuff. Just have a centralized currency.